BFree CBD.com joins forces with Championship Wrestling to bring you the all-new Championship Wrestling podcast. And here's your host, Dustin Starr, featuring special guest,
BFree CBD,
founder of BFree CBD, Daryl Bird. Here we go!
Body aches gone, leg pain gone, back pain gone, relaxation on.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Championship Wrestling Podcast, presented by BFree CBD. Happy Monday, and thank you for joining me wherever you are. I am Dustin Starr, and today, the champ is here! Oh yeah! Last week we had the Heritage Champion Watts on the podcast, and today our guest is none other than United Television Champion Dan Joseph. And I can't wait to catch up with Dan Joseph. But first, I have to tell you that this podcast is presented by BFreeCBD.com. BFree CBD, they're perfect for aches and pains, or if you're struggling with anxiety, especially in today's day and age. Check out their oils, bath bombs, and even flour and gummies. These gummies contain CBN for nighttime. They help you sleep. It's the greatest thing ever. And then, of course, the flour, you can actually smoke, and it seems to get in your system faster. If that's your type of thing, you just break it down and smoke it up. Grand opening is coming soon in Memphis, Tennessee. We'll keep you posted on that, but everyone else you can order anywhere in the world. Just go to the letter B, freecbd.com. Once again, that's BFreeCBD.com. They present the Championship Wrestling Podcast. Be sure to follow them at BFreeCBD on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Go ahead and follow at CW30 Wrestling while you're there. And of course, I'm at Dustin Starr, and today's lineup includes a full recap and highlights from Saturday's Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. We're back on track, leading up to the live return from the United Wrestling Network. Of course, David Marquez made that announcement just a couple of weeks back. We are less than 30 days from our return. Then, we're going to look ahead at what's coming up this week, where you can find Championship Wrestling in the news and what's in store next Saturday on the program. And of course, I'm going to answer all of your questions again this week in the mailbag. Some really good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Dan the Man is first. And if you haven't watched the new episode of The Push on the United Wrestling Network social channels, you're absolutely missing out. I think the video was like 3 or 4 minutes long, but it is absolutely tremendous. They've done a great job on this series. This week's feature was Dan Joseph, so perfect timing to have him right here on the podcast. So I'm going to talk to Dan Joseph about being the United TV champion, our return to live action, his broadcasting work at the desk. I'm a huge fan, having sat side by side with him and called the action. I'm going to wrap it up with him about that. That was a lot of fun. And then what's coming up next for Dan the Man? How long's it been since he's been in the ring? We're going to get all the details, all that, and so much more. I can't wait. So let's not wait. United TV champion Dan Joseph is next.
The all-new Championship Wrestling Podcast is presented by BFree CBD.
Do what I do, and I'm ready for Memphis, man. I feel like I feel right at home down there, man. Honestly, that's a city I've always wanted to visit too. So I'm super looking forward to going, man.
BFreeCBD.com joins forces with Championship Wrestling to help you be and feel your best.
Champ, how you doing, man?
Dustin, I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. It seems like it's been forever since I actually saw you, but I saw a really cool video on United Wrestling Network this week called The Push, featuring the United TV champion, you, Dan Joseph.
I know they really did a nice job putting together that little interview that we did, and then I had that interview with referee Nick and Todd Kennelly as well. We got to just talk for a while, so that was great getting to sit down with people because, you know, like you said, we haven't really been around wrestling people in forever, so getting to see all our old friends again is a nice feeling.
Oh, absolutely. And at the very start of that video, and for the listeners, if you haven't watched it, you got to check it out. You talk about personality. At the very beginning of that video, that is Dan Joseph. are we going to do this thing? Ready, action.
Yeah, I don't know. I knew they were recording, I guess, but it's just, we needed a marker. I used my arms. That's just how I am all the time. Just happy-go-lucky, have some fun for the most part.
Now, they covered a lot of ground back from your hockey days, which I was kind of surprised about that because you got a full set of teeth. You know, I worked in hockey for a while, and most of them were missing a couple of their teeth in there. But everything from hockey to pro wrestling training to broadcasting and now being the United TV champion. I know you guys went over it on the push and in the podcast. But, man, what's it feel like to start at the very, very start where you were training with the United Wrestling Network and now you're carrying that banner? And it's not just any title. It is the United television title, which means you can travel all over to all the different affiliates of Championship Wrestling and defend.
I mean, like I said there, it's a great feeling having grown with the show, you know, watching how it was when I started in the Glendale studio at the first taping, and seeing how the production value's grown, seeing how the roster has grown, the storylines, and then my own, you know, personal development throughout wrestling to just get beat up for a while and now carry that title throughout the whole network. You know, I defended in Arizona on the Hollywood show, taking it all over that I can. And it's an honor to represent the company that I started with like that.
Absolutely. We're talking United TV champion Dan Joseph. We've been watching you here in Memphis for about 14 months, and you talk about growing. Man, we first saw you as a broadcaster doing play-by-play and color commentary, cracking us up every single week, my man. And I'm not talking like Bobby Heenan or, you know, Jesse Ventura or the King with, you know, like silly jokes. Like, you're all over the place. It is hilarious.
I get energy. Like, when I start talking, and if I can get, you know, the guys in the back, I can hear them laughing, or I can get Todd Kennelly, he's such a professional out there. If I can get him to crack and laugh, it just feeds into the energy that I get then. And I just keep going and going. And that kind of feeling is even carried on now that I'm back in the ring. The fans had a great reaction when I got out of the press booth and, you know, took my shirt off and started fighting again. And yes, every time I feel that energy and I hear that crowd cheer, it really makes me, gets me excited, gives me adrenaline, and, you know, really do kind of carry that into the matches then.
Absolutely. And I know exactly what you're talking about. If you could pop the boys, you could definitely pop the crowd, right?
Yeah. That's the hardest thing. They do this all the time. They see it all. So if you can get them going, it really makes me smile.
And to take a little peek behind the curtain, I was in town doing some commentary with you guys, Todd Kenley, Dan Joseph, and myself, Dustin Starr, doing commentary. You pulled no punches. It was like the new kid on the block is here. Let's mess with them as much as we can. And I remember some of the boys in the back when I said something along the lines of, because we were kind of at each other, just, you know, having fun. And then I said, I think we're going to have a match here, Todd. And all the boys were like, what the heck, you know? But it was just so much fun, even putting the show together, you know, getting our notes together and stuff, and then doing the call. So you definitely broke me in the right way, I guess. I had never met you, or Maria either. And you guys, you know, came in. I knew about you doing through the Memphis show and, you know, how much work you guys had put into that. And I'll tell you, I was surprised when you went out there wrestling. Good gosh, I hadn't seen you really moving around in the ring before. Man, you were throwing them. You look great out there, even your hair. Oh, my gosh, I appreciate it. And that was kind of a cool thing because you and I had been doing commentary side by side for several weeks.
Yeah.
Then here you come from the broadcast table. And so it was like, all right, well, I can't come from the broadcast table, so what am I going to do? And, you know, a lot of the audience had not seen me, and a lot of the boys had not seen me or Maria in action. So that was a really fun time for us. And shout out to Todd Kenley for putting, you know, me and Maria and you over huge on commentary for that.
Yeah, he's, like I said, he's one of the best that's out there. And, you know, sitting next to him doing commentary for as long as I did, it was just like sitting in school. I could just learn and listen and be entertained. It was a wonderful experience.
United TV champion Dan Joseph. Okay,
Yep.
So you left the commentary booth. You were in the red carpet rumble. And my goodness, after you took care of Ty Matthews, and this goes back to what you said about growing, each and every week you had awesome matches and then answered an open challenge from Royce Isaacs. and literally shocked everybody. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, even Stu Stone on commentary, did you hear him? Ah! He just screamed when you won.
I mean, just watching that back and, you know, hearing him talk and Todd talk and looking at the fans' reaction and seeing, because you're, you know, when you're out there and you're working and you're wrestling, you're wrapped up in yourself and the emotion in the moment, you're hearing it, but then to actually see it when you can be calm and really take in all the cheering, all the fans, all the kind words, and, you know, the performance that you put on out there with Royce, it was incredible. It is a great feeling, and a real heartwarming experience.
It was definitely a passing of the torch, so to speak, with Royce, that being his last appearance with Championship Wrestling, at least for the time being, and then for you to come right out the very next week and start defending week after week. Like this past Saturday, we replayed the match that you had with Ice Williams, and gosh, what a fantastic match. But it was all kind of halted with the pandemic. So you just won the title. You had a couple of title defenses. How did that make you feel when it just all of a sudden stopped?
It's been the same way throughout my career. With Pac 3, I won the titles, and I got a knee injury. I had to get surgery. You know, we started doing wrestling again coming out of the booth, and I had a hernia, and I had to take a little break again. And then now with the championship, I finally, you know, really get on a roll, and I'm moving and punching and fighting, and then everything just has to stop. On one hand, it's great because, you know, longer title reign put down in the history books. But, you know, on the other hand, you get into a rhythm, and it's been 4 months since I've even been in a ring, unfortunately. And as soon as I kind of really get a chance, I'll be able to do it. But it has been a very different experience. My back feels better, not getting bumped around so much.
Yeah, so the time off definitely helps. And then also it was announced probably just a couple of weeks ago, it's still fresh, that in less than 30 days, Championship Wrestling will be back in production. And so will the United Wrestling Network, doing new matches. And that means that you're going to have to step back in there for title defenses at some point coming up real soon. Have you been in the ring at all within the last 4 months?
I haven't. I just haven't had it. Nothing's been open. Nothing's been available. And, you know, even if it was at the time, you know, with the disease going through, you don't know exactly what's happening. So at first I was really being super cautious. But now if we start getting some space, start getting some time, I think I'll be able to start rolling around. And I'm anxious and excited to get back in the ring, throw out whatever challenge is. I think Levi still has a title shot in the works. Whatever it is, whatever ends up happening, I'm going to be ready for it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because Levi Shapiro has been chasing you. And, of course, Howdy Price is always chasing for championship gold to put on the hood of his big old car.
Yeah, Howdy chases a little slower than most, but yeah.
He sure does. But then also you've got to think Ray Rosas with the PP3 Cup. I know that he has basically selected Watts in the Heritage Championship, but you never can be too sure when it comes to Ray Rosas and that group known as Static. You got to have your head on a swivel.
I mean, you've had your run-ins with Ray. You know what kind of a mind he is. When he's in the mood to play, you can never tell what he's going to do. So he does have that PP3 Cup. He said it's Watts, but, you know, I wouldn't put anything past him.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't let everybody know my strategy, especially the champions. So that's why I say you never know what's going to happen with Ray Rosas. But we appreciate you taking the time to join us here, Dan Joseph, the United TV champion. What's coming up next for you? When will you be getting back in the ring and doing training? What does it look like heading back into live events with United Wrestling Network?
Well, I mean, the gyms just got open up in Southern California this week, so I just started getting out of the home workouts and, you know, back onto a Stairmaster and the likes. So the body's getting ready. Next week, I should be starting up, looking for a spot to do some more training, get those rolls back, make sure my head's in the right place, and then we can start whenever they're ready to start doing the tapings. I'll be ready. You come flying out, you know. I'll give you a handshake and a hug, and then you can call my matches.
Hey, I'd love to. I'll take you up on that. All right, real quick before we go, we got to have a little bit of fun. All right, so this is the Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by BFree CBD. I need that Dan Joseph color commentary. Just outro us real quick. Dan Joseph.
the Championship Wrestling broadcast presented by, what was CBD?
BFree CBD.
That's the one. See, this is the one where Todd usually comes in when I make a mistake, and I tell him, let him know what's going on, Mr. Kennelly. And he saves me every time, Dustin. So if we do more of these podcasts, you'll have to be ready to jump in for me.
Oh, we definitely will. Dan Joseph, man, I really appreciate it. Take care and much love to your family.
Last week on Championship Wrestling, United TV champion Dan Joseph defended his title against the coldest man in pro wrestling, Ice Williams. Then, Jack Banning had his hands full with an angry duo of Howdy Price and Levi Shapiro.
Levi! Get in there and make this quick! It's feeding time! Seized in this iron claw, that's gonna do it.
The unlikely team of Anthony Idol and Frankie Frank squared off against Vermin. And in our main event, Ray Rosas, flanked by United World Tag Champs Andy Brown and Adrian Quest, faced off against former protege Jordan Clearwater.
Taking flight!
And the numbers were just too much. All that and so much more on the fastest hour in pro wrestling. Watch episode 65 in full on our official YouTube channel at CW30 Wrestling.
The Championship Wrestling Rewind is brought to you by BFree CBD.
A lot of fun talking to Dan the Man. Of course, he was in action on Saturday, as you heard in the highlights, defending the United Television Championship against the coldest man in professional wrestling, Ice Williams. Unbelievable match. Actually talked to Dan just a little bit about that a moment ago. That was the opening match on this week's Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle. And after that successful defense by Dan Joseph, Levi Shapiro, led by Howdy Price, went one-on-one with Jack Banning, and Levi was extremely upset. As you remember, him and Buddy Royal, his former tag team partner, they're about to do battle at the PP3 Finals of Blockbuster, and boy did Levi look ready. And then we went on to tag team action, the unlikely duo of Anthony Idol and Frankie Frank. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look at these two guys. They're totally polar opposites. Gosh, did they make a great team as they were victorious over Vermin. We're going to see Vermin in the coming weeks taking on the Wolf Zaddies. And I'm not going to spoil it. You'll just have to wait and see what happens. And then we had our main event. And this main event had the PP3 Finals on the line. And man, we all remember the fallout between Jordan Clearwater and his mentor at the time, Ray Rosas. And of course, Rosas had the United World Tag Team Champions at ringside with him. It was 3-on-1. What do you expect from Jordan Clearwater? So that match it went down. Let's just put it that way. You have to check it out for yourself. And then, of course, we had Memphis wrestling legend Pork Chop Cash make his return to Memphis Wrestling Television for the first time in gosh knows how long. Fun interview. Part 1 happened on Saturday. Part 2 comes up this Saturday of a 3-part series. We're going to keep bringing you the legends of Memphis wrestling as much as we can. But you can catch that episode in full. That's episode 65 on our official YouTube channel at CW30 Wrestling. And I know you guys saw the scroll. I got to do it. One last happy birthday wish to our 12-year-old son, Brady Starr.
The Championship Wrestling Lookout is brought to you by BFree CBD.
First and foremost, you need to look out for a huge announcement coming from the United Wrestling Network. I highly recommend that you follow them on all forms of social media. There is an announcement that I can't talk about just yet, but it is absolutely going to blow your mind, and I think it could change the landscape of professional wrestling as we know it today. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. I can't say anymore. I'm going to get in big trouble. Every Thursday, though, you can catch me at 9 a.m. sharp on Sports 56 Mornings with Peter and CJ talking professional wrestling. Always a great time. Peter's such a great wrestling fan, and CJ loves the Attitude Era, so it It's always a fun conversation. But you can listen at 9 a.m. Central anywhere in the world at sports56whbq.com. There's a little listen live button. Just click it and you're all set. And of course, that goes to podcast afterwards. And then at noon on Thursday, it's an all-new Grind City Wrestling over at FedEx Forum. You can listen at grindcitymedia.com/podcasts. And then next Saturday, we're going to rewind back to the PP3 Finals Blockbuster Part 1. As we inch closer to our live return, we are basically counting down the weeks now, and we're gearing up to getting back on track and get you all caught up for the live action. Heather Monroe versus Lacey Ryan in a best-of-7 series. Of course, Halston Body's going to have a special stipulation. Who knows what that's going to be. I'm sure it'll be interesting and in Heather Monroe's favor, might I add. Then Jordan Clearwater's back in action against outlandish Zicky Dice. He's going to come back to the program. That's the NWA Television Champion. Then in the main event, we've got a grudge tag team match where the Wolf Zaddies take on Vermin. And I don't know if you guys remember, but there's a special stipulation where Johnny Yuma beefs this match up. So you got to check that out. And of course, remember Dave and Buster's Watch Party. Look out for that. It returns on July 19th in Memphis for WWE Extreme Rules. They are open, and of course, they're following strict social distancing guidelines, but it's not to where you can't come and enjoy yourself. So come on out with us on July 19th for that. Live events are coming soon right here in Memphis, Tennessee. I know I've been saying that, but on the other side of the pandemic, keep your eyes peeled. We're going to have some really, really fun stuff coming up. Last but certainly not least, we're going to have a huge 4th of July sale at our Championship Wrestling shop. That's right, July 1st through July 4th only. You can save 20% off at championshipwrestlingmemphis.com and hit shop. Brand new designs, colors, all sizes. They are custom made for your order. All you have to do is use the code SLAM20. There's no spaces, SLAM20. Go to championshipwrestlingmemphis.com and hit shop. We have brand new 4th of July Mid-South Coliseum t-shirts on sale starting July 1st through the 4th.
It's time for this week's Mailbag. Mailbag.
Each and every week, I enjoy answering your questions in the segment known as the Mailbag. And typically, I get these questions from my Instagram page at Dustin Star. I'll post them up on 5 Star Friday in my story. You guys ask and I answer. And this week, we've got some good ones. And you can always send me questions at Dustin Star or at CW30 Wrestling. First question. Is it safe to say 2020 will be the craziest year for pro wrestling in either of our lifetimes? Wow, I think hands down, unequivocally, no questions asked, absolutely, oh hell yes. I don't know if there's any other way that I could answer. 2020 has been absolutely unbelievably crazy. The pandemic has put wrestling companies in a bad way where we can't have fans at the shows, where we couldn't have shows like the Birthday Bash being postponed, our television tapings being grinded to a halt with the new in-ring action. Of course, we've been doing brand new episodes each and every week, but looking back at the best ofs, man, there's just been all sorts of craziness in 2020, and it goes along with the rest of the world, to be perfectly honest with you. 2020 will be a year that kids will be taught in history. This will be a full chapter in history books, not just professional wrestling, obviously, but the entire world. So generations to come are going to learn about what went down in 2020. Great question, but an easy answer, and I think you agree. Absolutely, it is the craziest year that either of us will ever see, or any of us will ever see in our lifetime. Question number 2. How do you like wearing a mask? You talk about a ruckus topic, which should be just plain and simple, short and sweet. First of all, I don't like wearing a mask. I don't think anybody likes wearing a mask. Except for maybe Gentleman Jervis. But it doesn't matter if I like wearing a mask. I have a family, I have friends, I have business to conduct. I have to protect myself and I have to protect the people around me. And think about it, guys. We've got two choices. We either wear a mask that's going to affect us in a positive way. There will be a 70% difference at least, statistics show. 70% difference in the COVID-19 testing, just like the rest of the world are seeing huge declines in positive tests. Meanwhile, the United States of America has a huge increase of COVID-19 positive tests. So either you wear a mask and the numbers drop, or you don't wear a mask and they shut us all down again. Your choice. Do you want to see live professional wrestling? Do you want to see live sports? Wear a damn mask. It's that simple. I know you don't like it. I don't either. Cool. Now let's do it. Mask up, Memphis. Mask up all around the world. Next question before I get on a soapbox. Favorite accomplishment in Memphis? Oh man, this is such a tough question. It came from a good friend of mine too that knows about this and knows that this is a tough question. But I would have to say that getting our deal, myself and Maria, for hosting CW30 in Memphis was probably our favorite accomplishment. Now, a very, very close second would definitely have to be having our own professional wrestling show, Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle, every Saturday at noon on CW30. That is quite the accomplishment in itself. But I would have to say that overall, my favorite accomplishment in Memphis is being the host of CW30 here in Memphis, which, by the way, is the highest rated CW network in the United States. Very, very cool. And myself and my Maria are very proud and happy to be on that team. And keep your eyes peeled. More things could be coming soon. Last question. Who's the most famous NBA player you've taken a picture with? Wow, this is a good question, but I don't want to be like the guy that's too cool for school, but I don't take pictures with NBA players. And it's not that I wouldn't want to. It's that my credentials and all the good stuff with the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm not necessarily allowed to take pictures. And plus, man, I work with these guys in other capacities, behind the scenes at media days and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different. You don't just get your picture made with them. But I did share a video of Jaren Jackson Jr. giving a shout out to our son Brady for hooping and tell him to keep balling out. And of course, he had to take a cheap shot at my hair. I'll try to play that at the very end of this podcast, kind of as a bonus feature. But the famous guys, I could tell you, Mike Conley, Zebo, Vince Carter, shout out to him for his retirement. James Harden actually stepped into one of our skits on the court impromptu one time. So we get pretty close with these guys. Myself and LeBron standing 5 feet apart, made eye contact. That was super cool. That's just kind of fanboying and marking out right there. But lots of great guys that I've met and been able to work with. And thank you all for all the questions here in the mailbag. And remember, if you want your question answered, all you have to do is send it to me.
Thanks for listening to the Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by BFreeCBD.com.
BFree CBD, pain on, pain gone. BFree CBD, pain on.
This is definitely my jam right here. So catchy. By the way, did you guys hear E-Rock Eric McMahon singing this song on the podcast last week? Check it out, grindcitymedia.com/podcast. E-Rock had a BFree CBD pre-roll hanging out of his mouth as he's singing this song. It was good stuff. But thank you for joining us again on this Monday Championship Wrestling Podcast presented by BFree CBD. Be sure to check them out, BFreeCBD.com. That's the letter B, freecbd.com. And like I say, if you already take CBD or if you've been thinking about trying it, you need to try BFree CBD. Support them. They help support us. That's what I do. Also, go ahead and like them on social media and follow them as well. We're going to catch you again here next week. I'm going to be joined by another special guest. And if you have any requests, hit me up at Dustin Star or at CW30 Wrestling. We want to bring you the stars that you want to hear from. And I want to talk to some more legends too. So send those my way. But until next week, I am Dustin Star, saying so long, everybody.
Hey man, here was your dad. just want to say keep hooping, keep grinding, keep doing the things over and over and over, and get this haircut.
Oh, come on, man.